gentlemen, everyone else, thank you for coming and welcome to another season on Sports Be Life International. Like every Monday, here I am with my awesome, beautiful lawyer, Yasmina Gonzalez. How you
I love
doing,
it.
Yasmina?
I'm doing okay. I'm pretty excited to be here with you, Laura, as you know, because you're my amazing partner. You have so many titles. You're an amazing content creator. You're an amazing caster. You are everything. You're also an artist in theater.
Ah,
So you are amazing, Laura. I'm really excited to be here once more. And welcome to
thank you very
everyone
much.
to be here with us. We have an amazing guest today.
Yeah, we have an amazing guest today. We are talking about many stuff about esports, of course, and the blockchain technology, which is a stranger to most of us. So today,
Well,
I'm
the
presenting you.
actually I have to say to the audience that we are not talking today about blockchain. We are going to focus on Dominika Slots, who is
Hmm,
our guest. She has so many topics. She
yeah,
knows about blockchain. She knows about data. She knows have a own podcast.
yeah,
She knows everything.
most of her fewer than actually blockchain technology, and so on. So we have Dominika Szot, head of run strategy on Grid Esports.
Hello,
Welcome, Dominika.
girls.
How are you doing?
Hello. Hi. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really good. Looking forward to our conversation. Currently in Berlin, at Grid office. Very snowy here, so I think it's a great plan to stay in and chat some esports, and later watch the next episode of The Last of Us. Right. So
I think
Yeah.
everyone is going to watch it.
Yeah.
Please send in the comments how many is going to watch it today. And please don't spoiler. Don't spoiler
No,
here. I
no
love
exactly.
spoilers here. Remember, respect
Exactly.
all the people who don't have the time to watch it on the very first day. But we're not talking about The Last of Us, even though it would be very interesting to have a Last of Us esport. Today we're talking about Dominika, her work, her podcast, her
Let's put
team
up.
with esports. Before I go through your entire career path, I would like to ask you, why did you decide to venture into the sports industry? What brought you to sports in the first place?
Of course. So it was a bit of the lucky coincidence, I'd say. I started to work in the video games industry 7 years ago, and currently I'm not at the like. It's not like I truly ventured into the OG of esports. So I'm not on the tournament operator side. I'm not on the teams side or the professional organization. Grit is not your typical esports company. You can think of us as the technology layer for video games. We provide game data services. So what brought me here in the first place is curiosity from the side of video games and like to large extent the established industry. I had an opportunity to venture into something that's very innovative, very visionary, and from the brand strategy side, it's a great opportunity to build something that hasn't even been around 4 years ago. So it's an exciting challenge and exciting opportunity for me to be part of.
That's so amazing. And actually, I think a lot of people will love to know about more about your working grid because, as you said, it's not a typical enterprise that you can think about in esport, but very important because all the data that you provide is going to be really useful. But we will see in a moment. I'm not going to spoil, as how also audience said, we are strict to the no spoiler policy. And I would like to know, Dominika, because I think you have a previous experience also in video game industry. So, how you tell me how you feel the difference between these two ecosystem? Because
Mhm.
I know a lot of people say, well, we are in the video game and esports is video game, but not entirely. So,
Mhm.
I would like your personal thoughts, and because you work in both industries.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's interesting dispute or discussion whether esports and gaming is one and the same or two very different things, how polarized they are or how similar. I like to think of esports as the pinnacle of gaming. I'd say that this is where the the master talents, are clashing and they have an opportunity to fight, and it's like a really top of the top. But it's not detached from the gaming industry. If you think about that, esports wouldn't exist without the game IP. So game and esports, they are interconnected and they are dependent one on another. So I would say that, in my opinion, thinking of esports as this competitive, like the pinnacle of competitive gaming, I would say that esports is a sport for those who play and entertainment for those who watch. Whereas video games, and esports is somewhere where very few players can actually really play, let's say, and many people can watch, right? Once in video games, you have equal amount of eyeballs on the stream, but you can have players, so anyone can start playing video game and anyone can enjoy this. Once esports is slightly less accessible, so I'd say this accessibility is a difference, and we're also at Grit really looking forward to lower that barrier with game data. So yeah, I'd say this accessibility is something I'd consider to be the biggest difference.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Also, I totally agree that they are very interconnected. Actually, we wouldn't have any esports without the actual video game. Before we jump onto Grit, I would like to ask you about your project. It's her game. It's her game is a podcast that Dominika hosts on women on the esports industry. And I would like to ask you, how did you decide to launch this podcast? It's her game.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for asking. It's my baby as a little
I
project
was
of
going to
mine.
ask you, it's your baby, right?
Yes, Mina is a huge fan. It's a huge fan of it's her.
I am.
It's her game.
Oh, thank you. This is so cute, so nice. So it's quite funny because if I were to summarize that, is that I woke up one day and I was tired of not having a circle of people around that I can discuss the latest trends in the industry or learn from. I think everyone around me was pretty much tired of me constantly evaluating what's happening out there and plotting some intrigues on what is the next big thing. And I figured that I need to broaden this network if people around me are tired of it. And I thought that it's a great idea to have a podcast. So it was very random. But if you think about it, I think many events led to the point when I woke up one day and thought of having the podcast. So slightly over 2 years ago, once I started, I think I felt very lonely in the industry, having very few women around me in my professional network. And I felt slightly isolated because of that. It's not that the industry wasn't welcoming, but as a really young woman, I was a bit intimidated by the fact that I'm sometimes the youngest on the team and quite often the only woman. So I
a dangerous combination for those.
exactly. Sorry, exactly. So I think I'm quite a good listener, and my motivations were very pure. And I was always looking for for the outlet to create my own content. And all of these combined led to the point when I leveraged all these elements for reaching out to more women in the industry and building this unique network that I have a pleasure to host now and be the part of. So yeah, it started from my very honest need of reaching out and having more female connections in the industry.
That's amazing. I think every podcast in somehow is starting somehow like that. Like, for example, if the cinema podcast is going to talk about your needs of talking about cinema or movies or video games, and in this case, actually think the project that you have on is quite nice, because I think a lot of people are going to feel connection with the people you interview and with you as well, because you actually are an incredible woman.
Thank you. That's so nice. I'm sorry for a little cough, but that's the change of
No.
the weather all the time. But
Don't
that's very
worry.
nice. Thank you. Nice to hear.
You can come to Spain. It's much better weather, even if it's cold, but not so cold as you are living right now.
Yeah, I heard that also last week. I was teaching at ITTI, the Barcelona school, together with the Barça Innovation Hub, and they also extended the invitation. So I think one day I finally need to come instead of doing all the
You will do
things
it.
online.
We send the invitation here to all the
Exactly.
entire Spain.
Thank you very much.
And now, if for example, the audience would like to know more about your podcast, can you tell us a little bit what they can find inside it? What kind of interviews you do? And of course, you do a lot of women in the industries. You can tell us a little bit an example, which person the interview and you love, and you can share with us. That would be lovely because I know the podcast. You tell a little bit, but here is the time to shine and to sell it.
Amazing. Okay, I'll try to do my best. So,
You can
thank
do
you.
it, girl.
Yes. So, It's Her Game is a shout out to all the women in esports and gaming and now also technology, where I invite my guests, female professionals from those three sectors, to speak about their personal achievements, career, and current trends in the sector they specialized in. It started 2 years ago and is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. The new episodes are released bi-weekly. So the new one is coming on February 14th.
Oh, I will
And
Oh,
know. It will be
yes,
a date on a. It's going to be
exactly.
2017. It's true.
It's a moment for a date with yourself, So
That's
even if you
good.
have exactly, even if you have romantic plans, you can have this moment for the inspiration. And yeah, I invite women who work in the various companies, such as Riot Games, Meta, Activision, Blizzard, but also smaller studios where they create their own titles or they pursue the freelancer careers to showcase the variety of opportunities that exist within the industry we operate in. And one of my favorite conversations that I had so far, I love them all, so it's always hard to choose because each of the women is so unique and you really see them developing this brightness and starting to shine like down the time of the podcast of the interview, which is beautiful. But one of my favorite was with Vera Winken. She's part of the Riot Games EMEA team for Valorant. And we had a chance to speak before I started to work at Grid. So before we became the exclusive data partner for Valorant for game data. So now I have a chance to work on the title hands-on and work with the Riot's team and Vera's team as well. But it's really nice.
that's freaking awesome, actually.
Yes, exactly. Like I'm a big fan of Valorant, so even having that interview back then with Vera was amazing, and she taught me a lot, and she taught me a lot about like the backstage of how my favorite title was developed or the esports scene was created. And it was also a year and a half ago, so just before Valorant really boomed and became this absolutely
Yes.
amazing title in esports scene. So having a chance to reflect and go back to that episode when we were at the verge of something big, but no one was really sure back then. And now working hands-on with Riot's project and provide this game data infrastructure for Valorant. It's really humbling to see that I can come that far and I can work on the project that I'm truly passionate about. So it's just a nice reference point for me, my career and my path so far, and an amazing beginning to a great friendship that I have with Vera now. So I think that's my favorite one.
Oh,
It's so beautiful.
it's so beautiful. Where can we listen to that podcast? To It's Her Game?
Yeah, It's Her Game is on Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. And it's, I think, the episode 21 or 22, something like that. So they are listed there.
Oh. Duly noted. Also, you choose women with value in the industry and so on. We got people from, as you say, from Riot, from Blizzard, even for the small studios. But you choose them for their value and what they can bring to the table. And I would like to ask you, what can we learn from the guest on your podcast?
I think very often perseverance and the grit and the bravery of pursuing the career, even though sometimes it's very much against the popular conceptions or popular perceptions of what's possible for women or what's achievable in general. Not gender unrelated, let's put it this way. They really break ceilings, both from the perspective of expanding the opportunities for future female talents, but also redefining the industry as a whole, again, without the focus on the gender aspect. I think this is amazing. The variety of the roles that are available in the industry and the courage to take your own fate in your own hands is something that all my guests have in common. No matter where they're from, because they are absolutely from everywhere, from the US through India, Europe, Finland, China, Australia. It's also incredible to compare the circumstances in which they happen to pursue their personal goals and the attitude they have, and they share their common traits. So yeah, I think these are the things that shine the most once you speak to them.
It's amazing. I just shared the chat so everyone can have the podcast, and
Thank you.
later I will put it as well in the social media so everyone can follow it, because it worth it. I just listen it because, as Laura know, I did a podcast by myself with a colleague. We are two lawyers and we try to get some legal advice to people in the industry, especially in the video game industry. And actually, Laura was my first guest. I was really excited to have her here.
So
I know
nice.
so I know how difficult it is and how amazing and enriching it is, and you are bringing people from around the world. So that's amazing. What you do,
Thank you.
it's amazing. Can you spoil a little bit what interviewers are going to come for this year or something?
Of course. I'll be happy to do that. So definitely we will look more into the technology layer of gaming. So I think it will be really interesting and informative and exciting for the listeners as well, because we will bring on board some special guests who are really at the forefront of the innovation in the industry nowadays. Sometimes I don't even understand what they do. So for me, it's a great lesson as well, even though by myself, I'm in this game tech niche, you can say, with grit. So it's really exciting to see how industry evolves through the eyes of professionals who really operate in that scene. We will also have a couple of comebacks. So my previous guests will be introduced again because they've progressed significantly with their roles. So it will be really nice to reflect on that. Sometimes they change the company, sometimes they advanced in the structures, but all of them did something amazing over the course of 2 years. So I think it's great to also bring someone back and discuss the path from the point when we were once we spoke in the first place and where they are now, and show how quickly you can also really achieve amazing stuff. So those two things will be definitely two major major new things, let's say, for the podcast.
I'm so excited, and maybe we can recast you again.
Yeah,
exactly.
It would be a nice idea. You know, this is your home, and you can come whenever you want.
We will like you. We will welcome you in Spain. We will welcome you online.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so nice. I will definitely use that invitations, especially looking through the window now. This is really
Yes, and you can try a really nice food here in Spain. We have
Mm,
amazing food.
I know. I was there couple of times, and each time is well incredible. So I'm always looking for an
Here.
opportunity to come back.
And now let's jump to Grid's eSports. How did you end working for Grid? Uh, what attracted you to this company? What
Of
caught your
course.
eye?
Yes. I was working at Grid is the data platform. We support right holders with the game data infrastructure, help them to bring their data on our platform, and then distribute to the variety of users, from professional players through communities, but also commercial projects. And almost 1.5 years ago, I was working at one of these commercial projects. So I was part of a quite small startup from Poland, trying to build the broadcast innovation solution. It was very exciting and very new already, but back then I wasn't even aware of Grid's existence. I've learned that only because I was assigned as a part of our team at the startup. I was assigned to the Grid account, and I was managing the relationship with Grid and with our data provider. After a couple of months at that startup, I decided to pursue slightly different career. I also wanted to have a little break because it was been already, I think, almost 6 years when I was in the industry, and I also had a bit of an issue with, I think, introducing life-work balance to my life. So I had to, yeah, exactly. I had to learn that a little bit. I had to have a small break, and during that break, Grid reached out to me and offered me an opportunity to interview for the role. Initially, a different one that I hold now, because I was interviewed for the delivery manager role, so someone who works with the integration of the product and on more technical side. And I joined as the delivery manager, and then shortly later we realized that it's a great moment for Grid to become more visible and be more vocal about what the company did at that time. And I started to slowly going more into the communication and marketing side. And that's how I started working at Grid. And what attracted me to that company was the fact that what they do is so elusive and hard to capture that especially once I started, it was a bit of a black box. We weren't really vocal about our operations.
I like the definition.
Exactly. So the aspect of being a bit mysterious was something that was very compelling to me, and I think that even on the subliminal level, I felt it's a challenge worth taking for me to try to support the company with the marketing and branding expertise and help them building the external presence. And we've been very successful so far. And I think that was the main point. And once like this black box mystery thing was first. But what also was a really strong argument for me in favor of joining Grid is the team. I understood very little of what company was doing, but I knew that it was done by very good people, and I wanted to be part of this. And I know that I was correct. I think I'm in a great space, a great place now, and the team is very supportive, and it's quite unique in like those days to have the team like that. So yeah, I think these were the two things.
That's amazing, and how important it's actually to have a great team by your side. It's for example, I will like really challenging work, but if the people surround me, it's not nice. I think I will give up completely. Our good environment is essential, guys.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
and I'm really happy that you have the both combination. That it's a really great place, and you actually doing something interested and something
Yes.
that you really enjoy. And thank you so much for explaining a little bit what grid is, because it was going to be the next question, but now I have to pass to the next one. So you step behind me. No, step. I'm side.
You step ahead.
Yeah, I'm one step
Ahead.
ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. I think it was not like that. I
No,
think
no, no,
it's
behind. She's step ahead. She's step
Yeah.
ahead.
not behind.
I can be behind, but I see what's in front, so that's
I
also
like
works.
it. And now I would like to know if you can explain how useful data can help to the industry and ecosystem. If you can give some examples so the audience can see how all the information can be quite useful, especially for the companies, and how to get inside on how to improve different sectors. I know I think it's a challenging question here. I asked you a lot.
Yeah, exactly. There is a lot to break down.
Yeah.
I will start with the basics. What is the type of data we deal with at Grid? Because this is something that
Okay.
is, I think, not like it can be hard to understand for many people. So people probably know about user data, sales data, marketing metrics, right? These are the things we are aware of. And then on the grid, you can find game data. So game data is everything what's action related inside the game, whether that is the player's position on the map or the state of the player or the actions that occur in between the players on the map. We gather all this information directly from the game. And because we work only with the official right holders, so only with the right holders of the game IP or the tournaments, we have access to the highest quality of the data available because it's straight from the source. We never scrap or have data from unsupported sources, only make sure to provide the highest quality assets for our network of data clients. And we do it by providing the data infrastructure in the first place. So on the Grid Data Platform, so the core component of our technology, you can find a managed API solution. So something what helps developers to source data from the game and helps to bring them on our platform. So it's like a little bridge in between the game and the platform. And then once we have it on the platform, we organize this, make sure that it's in the format that is title agnostic. So it means that a kill in Dota and a kill in Counter-Strike and a kill in Valorant is recorded in the same way in the data file. So it helps on the side of distribution, because then we send the data feed to our clients. So let's say these 350 companies, let's say that they all want this data, right? So to these data companies. And if they integrated once with us, let's say 4 years ago, once we only had Counter-Strike in the beginning, but slowly we were introducing Dota, PUBG, recently Valorant. We built the platform in the way that they integrated once. They can use the same products that they have with different data feeds. So even if they started to build for Counter-Strike and they now want Valorant, they can do it in a matter of really short adjustments. They only need to introduce very little adjustments because the data points are recorded the same way. So they don't need to develop a new product, which is very useful for partners that operates in media. So like Gosu Gamers, for example, they have media watch pages where you can watch a live stream of Dota or Counter-Strike tournaments. And you have widgets provided by Grid as well that help you understand better what happens in the game. And because of this title agnostic model, they can replicate this watch page for Dota, for Valorant, for PUBG, for Counter-Strike with any effort on their side, because we provide this in the title agnostic model, and they only can have like Gosu Gamers branding, for example, on this. And we also serve betting industry, which also benefits from the title agnostic feeds, because it helps them to quickly scale up the betting offering on esports and teach the traders also quicker how to look at the trader's screen with all the widgets and all the information that helps them to provide the odds. And that's a great this is a great innovation for esports in general, because tournament operators, they were quite always significantly impacted by the sponsorships accessibility and how much they can bring to the table thanks to the sponsors, right? And the data monetization brought to the table a very new revenue stream for them. So this is something that really helps to build the sustainability of the esports scene and let them and allow them to think in the long term about how they can improve the entertainment and how they can improve the fun experience side without worrying in the back of their head that maybe they will not have the resources to fund the next tournament. It's a significant chunk of their revenue nowadays. And yeah, now we're moving more into the gaming space, where we provide this infrastructure to the likes of Krafton and PUBG, or Riot with Valorant. We've recently released fantasy esports solution for PUBG, so a fantasy game for people to better understand how the teams work and pick their own like fake teams to compete and to test that, validate that on the real tournaments. And now we're working with Riot on a couple of big announcements that I can't really share now.
We will have to bring you again.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so very interesting insight, because to me, all video game data, it's like a whole strange world. I mean, I love video games, but how video game data works and so on, it's for me, it's so like totally a stranger land. And you have you have a partnership with a big company like Riot, and I would like to ask you how the agreement work. How do you bring value to a big giant like Riot in the esports industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So Riot, we've started 4 years ago working mainly with tournament organizers, largely because for them it was a big incentive to start working with us in the way that we provided this new revenue stream for the company, right? But now we're working with the so-called super right holders, so the game developers. And for them, it is, of course, about monetizing the assets. And that's why one way in which we're helping them to achieve that goal with the network of the partners that we can offer. But the new area where we look into supporting our partners, such as Riot, is to bring the accessibility of, make the game data more accessible, and through the game data, make the whole title more accessible to fans, to developers, to any other people who can benefit from learning more about the statistics in the game or about the performance of the players. If you think of the website like SpikeGG, for example, which is an equivalent of HLTV, but only for Valorant. So SpikeGG uses our data to provide the statistics that help people understand what actually happened in the game. They also provide these watch pages with Valorant widgets. So once you watch the game, and we probably all know that Valorant is not the easiest game to catch up with because of exactly all the abilities and all the new maps and like dozens of agents. So having the stats that you can look at after the game or even during the game to just understand, like have a quick grasp on what is actually happening in that game is very helpful for both people who know meta well, because they can then just pick up like the little differences and, develop their own strategies or their own theories on why did it happen. And for people who are a bit of the less advanced viewers, let's say, it's easy to just understand what happened there. So that's one of the ways we're working with Riot. Riot has been very vocal about the game data accessibility and game data as a driver for for teaching about the game or for building the next level fun experience. And we are fortunate to partner with them for Valorant, which is a very new title. So we have a chance to be this technology layer from almost the day one. It's hard to pick the specific example that I can now showcase because we've been building them right now. So it's of course something that will come down the line this and next year. And it's mostly about this accessibility, I'll say. Even though it's a bit mysterious how it sounds now, I'll be definitely posting on this a lot. So if you want to learn about this more, it's a self-promotion time now. I do to follow myself or Grid if you want to learn about this data more, because we will be able to speak about it more with the tangible examples in the upcoming weeks.
So please follow her so we can know what's happening in Valorant.
Yeah.
If you really want to know, go ahead.
Exactly. Easy sell.
I like the aesthetics of Valorant, and I suck at aiming.
Oh yeah.
I like watching Valorant. I like it, but if I have to play Valorant, I suck. I have a very bad aim and so on, and that's why I would like to know. Okay, what's happening? How can I improve despite my bad aiming?
Yeah, you can. Exactly. So, game data can help you understand what actually
What's happening.
Exactly what's happening, or what has the biggest impact on the performance. Like if you think of Valorant, they have each of the character has 4 abilities, and these abilities, as you start to play, they all look to you mysterious or equal, or actually you just randomly try, and it's quite hard. I mean, I played yesterday and I tried the new character Neon, and she's amazing in the training room, so you can shoot all these electricity walls, etc. And I was like, okay, that's cool, I can play this, and then I went to the actual game and I was absolutely lost. I started to just press, and then it turned out that the abilities I thought were designed to do one thing were doing something absolutely different. I'm nowhere close to really mastering the game, but I would definitely like to understand what had impact on my performance. So that's when the game data comes in. And yeah, I also suck at Valorant. So
I suck as well, guys. Yeah. I really suck. But I think I'm really bad at shooter in every kind. I try Overwatch, I try Valorant. I like to watch it, but I'm a disaster.
Well, Overwatch lets you play characters that doesn't require a precise aim. So,
yeah,
for example, Winston,
I really
Crack.
I suck. The training area.
Exactly. I mean, I'm getting too stressed or nervous, everything happens at the same time and I just run.
Yes, and it was I'm shooting, and I remember my colleague was close to me, was saying, how can you be so bad? There was you're so nice person. I don't like you as an enemy. Like friends with you, I don't like you as an enemy. And now, Dominika, last question related with Grid. I would like to know more about your role inside the company. How is your role entail as a head brand strategy? Because it's a big name here. Or are you? Please sell yourself.
Yes, so we do a lot of innovative things, and we have quite complex product. And my role is to find a way to simplify what we do internally for the purpose of external communication. So everything what has something to do with marketing, PR, communications, events, or activations with our partners who are also very dedicated to building the awareness of the game data importance. That lies within my area of responsibility.
Oh my God, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
I was thinking okay, Teresa, let's allow
Yeah, the bullet points, right? Keep adding up. It's a big title and a lot of hats to wear. But I do really enjoy that because it gives me a chance to work directly with the leadership as well, and the guys, and now also Brittany, who's in the leadership, they are very innovative and very visionary. And it's a great exercise to be with them in one room and to really strategize, as my title suggests, on how we bring this weird black boxy complex hybrid of technology, gaming and esports to the world, and we make it appealing to the clients, so to the game developers, but also to the end users of our products from the community on or from the side of our partners on the betting or media side. So yeah, a lot on the table, but I think that's the beauty of startups. We're still 90 plus, so not the smallest company anymore, but also not the large corporation. So sometimes you need to wear one or two hats.
Question about two heads. I will imagine
Yeah.
you with a lot of.
Yeah, there's a lot going
Yeah.
on.
Hats on time.
Exactly, and they just
Like the video
sometimes,
game.
yeah, just sometimes fall on my eyes, So I just like really
And now let's jump to your education area. In addition to all of the commented topics here, you are the head of brand strategy or grid. You run the podcast It's Her Game, and also you do training work in the Intel Future Gen program for a Football Club Barcelona Hub sports management course. How did you start this part?
So yeah, there are a couple of projects. One is the Intel Future Gen program that I've just recently had been announced as a mentor. And this is a program that runs in the UK, and I was introduced to join that. I was invited to join that program by a fellow woman in esports committee member, because I'm also part of the women in esports committee.
Yes, I knew that I was going to be one of the next questions, but you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So yes,
Don't
also doing this. So yeah, she invited me to join, and it's an incredible initiative where they bring professionals from the industry to mentor students and people who are just on the verge of starting their professional career, to give them some expertise and give them some guidance. So this is one of the first project, and that was through Women in Esports. And the second one, so ITTI with the Barca Innovation Club, Barca Innovation Hub. I'm sorry. I think Daniel Pinto approached me, who's the CEO of ITTI, and he asked whether I'd be interested in joining as a tutor. And we've initially explored that I'll deliver the talks on the community management. But me being a big fan of big data and a big believer of the future of esports and competitive gaming being driven by data, I was lobbying for big data to be introduced to the modules, and we explored that. It's also great that they did big research around it, whether that's useful for the students to be the part of the program. And we came to the conclusion that it's a great topic to introduce. So I got the chance to run lectures on big data and run lectures on blockchain. And that's how I joined. It's an amazing experience especially that these two programs are so different. Like Intel Future Gen is about people, 20 something at the beginning of their career, super new to any industry. And ITTI is the esports management master program, where you have people who are more advanced in their career and more advanced in their age as well. So it's an incredible opportunity to adjust the way you share your knowledge, and a big challenge to do that, to cater to two very different groups and to make sure that they both benefit from what you have to say.
I was thinking, like, when you said 20, I was like, oh, babies, you're
Yeah, right.
you're coming today, baby.
Exactly.
Today I was actually in a part of a course or something, and there was this girl who was like, I was born 2004, and it was like, oh my god, you're a baby.
Yeah.
I feel you with that. Now you actually you tell us a little bit about what you actually teach, but now I would like to ask you more what kind of needs you observe, because as you said, you have different kind of students, one that have more mature in the industry, they have knowledge about the industry, and the ones that, for example, are babies. I'm going to call them babies.
Of course. Of course. So I think what's prevailing across both of the groups is that there is still very little understanding of the opportunities within the industry. So outside of the traditional classical path in esports that are related to, let's say, tournament organizers or professional organizations or teams, which are great paths, by the way, but the people they are not really aware of what else they can do. So they can go into the game tech, but they can also go into the game-related investment funds, or they can go into the marketing agencies, or work on the client side and work on the esports division. It's quite robust and quite fragmented, and I'm not surprised that people have little visibility over that, because also we see new roles every day, so it's quite hard to catch up. So I'd say this is one of the major challenges to overcome. And then when it comes to younger generation, I'd say that the issue is that they struggle to find the right role models. So sometimes, even though we have now a lot of initiatives like mentorship programs and more programs dedicated to education in the industry, I still feel like, because I got the messages like that quite often, that people struggle to find the mentors that can help them not only to build the courage to go out there, but also teach them something that's related to the career path they would like to pursue. So that's on the younger generation. And on the more mature side of my students, I'd say that understanding of the current trends and how they actually impact the industry they want to go to. Like, for example, like blockchain is a good example, because it's it polarizes the industry. So they are big like supporters of blockchain in gaming, and people who are absolutely against it, right? But you need to find, as someone who teach, a middle ground. I can have my own opinion to that, of course, but this is not my role to go to that room and to imprint my own beliefs. I need to present the clear case and present the whole spectrum and the whole landscape. So then they have right tools to decide for themselves what they do with this knowledge. And I feel like sometimes people who try to find information about the trends, especially these emerging trends, they are faced with very biased communication in media, especially that if you click one article, it's more likely that you'll get a similar one than something very extremely different. So I think access to to information on both sides, equal access to information on both sides, is something that is sometimes challenging for people.
No, I imagine, and especially if you say blockchain, it's like, oh my god, for me, I still trying to figure out.
Yeah. You see, we ended up talking about blockchain. was one of the topics for today as well, but we talk about Dominika Szot career and also blockchain, and the insight she has on blockchain and how it's still a stranger to all of us. But something that's not so stranger, but there's a long way to go still, is the position of women in the industry, in the video games industry and the esports industry. And you carry out initiatives in women in esports. Can you tell us about your work in this institution?
Yes, of course. So I was appointed the committee member last year in November, and I've joined along the amazing group of new committee members from the companies like Excel or ESL or StoryMob. So a couple of really names in the industry. So very humbling again to be part of this crowd. And our goal. So we are having meetings on the regular basis, and we strive to understand what's the most needed in the industry. We have a couple of pillars that are essential for our operations, and I'm involved in the one that's related to expertise. So we try to look for the partners in the industry who are willing to explore with us what's the current situation, gather the data, gather information on what's the status of employment of female professionals within the esports and gaming scene, bring this information to the world. We've started just in November, so it's pretty new, and we were looking to achieve that in the next 11-10 months, that we will have the report ready to publish. We're also involved on the education and entertainment, so everything starts with E, like esports. But we also try to bring the education and entertainment to people women who want to start their career in esports and maybe have more favorable circumstances where they can play their first tournaments and they can just practice with others and compete for smaller prize pools, but have the welcoming environment to work in and to develop their skills, and then also to learn about the opportunities in the industry. So yeah, education, entertainment, expertise, that's what we're aiming for.
That's actually amazing, and you do a lot. And I really was excited when I learned that you actually work for women in esports. I was like, "Hey, you don't stop, girl! You do a lot."
Actually, it's meant to be. It's like, those relationship that you don't know that they are real, but you say, I ship these people together. So I ship Dominika with women in sports, and when I knew that was real, I was like, yeah. That's the natural order of things, actually.
Thank you very much. I'm glad that you see it that way. That's very encouraging to continue.
And we will welcome you back again here.
Yes.
So tell us more initiatives that you're going to start there. And I would like to say thank you to the audience there, and thank you so much for Maria for this read that they send us a lot of
Maria, thank you very much for this raid.
And thank you so much for everyone. If you have any question, because we have just a couple of minutes, so you can do it now, but I have to do so much questions here. And one of that is like, I was really excited to know that you actually received an award for the Esports Insider. And I would like to tell, because congratulations, Michael, I have to tell you here.
Rising industry star, meteor. I will call more than star, she's a meteor.
Thank you. That's a good one.
And I would like to tell us a little bit how it was for you to receive that award. How was for you, especially because you interview people and I just like you're receiving, girl.
Yes, exactly. I think that was the major thing in LA. I was always on the side when since I started It's Her Game and since I started to be more vocal in the industry, I was always on the side of someone who tried to bring more lights to the others. So I remember when I got the information on the event that it's me who won, and I was like, I think I got this information like a couple of hours before the event because they were so nice to tell me about it in order for me to prepare the speech. And then I was, waiting for the announcement to happen officially on the stage, and the friend of mine stood next to me and he asked like, so how's your speech? Is it ready? And I was like, what speech? Was I supposed to present anything? And I went on the stage and I was so stressed. And I think exactly, it was really confusing to me to some extent, but also I felt, I'd say it might be not a popular thing to say, but I felt very confident obtaining this award.
Don't worry about the pop. You deserve it, my girl. You go.
Exactly. I think it's important to say that, Lord, that if you feel proud of your work and you feel that you can make an impact and you feel empowered by what you do on the daily basis is simply really nice to be recognized for that. And it's also, I must say, it's not an award of ESI esports star. I'm just rising, okay? So it's still a lot of expectations towards me.
Okay, you're going to rise a star. It's the first step.
Exactly, but it's still, there's still a lot of room to grow and to improve, but it's just very encouraging to do so with the acknowledgement of the industry, especially of Esports Insider, which is such a big voice in the industry. So that was very nice to get.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
And as the last question, unless someone in the audience bring something in the table, as someone who works constantly with data, how do you see the sports industry evolving in this year, 2023? And which trends have you noticed that are on the top of the line?
You have
Of
that.
course.
You can see. You can have a magical ball over there.
Exactly. So, to start with the game data, I'd say that what we'll see more this year is more developers going into this field and exploring what's possible with this data, learning more about what actually game data is and how they can leverage that for the purpose of fan engagement, game accessibility, but also monetization of the data assets. Through betting, which is a classical example, but also through other initiatives, which we may not really be fully aware of yet. I really want to see these innovations bringing in the area, and I think it's highly plausible that this will happen. We are, of course, ready to help, and we do our best with the current partners, but also looking forward to onboard more. I think that it's a new wave of innovation in the industry. And I want to see people embracing it and developing their own project. We have a Grid Open platform, which is an open initiative for anyone who wants to develop the project but don't have resources to pay for the access to data. They can apply and we give them the access. It's on our website. Everyone can apply. So we've seen over the last year, we've released the open platform actually exactly 12 months ago. So we've seen more than 100 projects apply, not like more than 150 applying, but 100 are onboarded already. And we see that people come up with such wild ideas that we envisioned that a certain type of project would be on that platform, but what we got is so much more than we could have ever asked for. It's amazing to see how people thrive on this topic if they have right resources. So we're very motivated to provide them with this initiative. And the other thing that I'd see in the industry gaining momentum is, of course, still like creators' economy and mods, everything what's related to content created by user-generated content. I think this is still, it is already big, but I think what's like the biggest is yet to come. And I want to see more people being in the position when they can monetize their own content directly on the platforms, and the game ecosystem can benefit from the constant innovation stream from the great creators that are coming from the community. So I think these are the things I'd like to see coming.
I will see if you're right in the future.
Exactly.
So Dominika, thank you so much. I don't know if the audience have. Yes, I will give you 1 minute if you will have any question. If no, we will have to say goodbye.
Speak now or silence forever.
Exactly.
You can follow her. She has LinkedIn, Twitter, and her podcast that you have already in the chat. So please follow her because she's amazing, as you can see, and for more data, more content, and so on.
Yes, I'm very motivated to post more about the data side. I think I like to teach people. So I hope I can do that with the knowledge I already have. So let's see.
You can teach me, you can teach everyone.
Thank you.
So follow her. Last question. Can you tell us about the next guest on your podcast?
Of course. So I will have as my guest Karine, who is from Gameloft. She's the you will girls, you will love it. She's the marketing manager for blockchain games. So just to end, this. Exactly. So this episode is coming on February 14th, and we will discuss blockchain game as a trend in blockchain as a trend in game industry, the pros and cons and the challenges. And I can also mention the last guest, so from the last episode, because I love these girls. So Mina and Christina, they are both involved. They are both the stylists for talents for Valorant.
I saw it in your LinkedIn that you were mentioning them, but I didn't know if you're going to bring it. And it was like, that's so excited.
Yes. I will post. I'll post about it tomorrow. And they are both. They work. So Mina is a designer of clothes, and Christina designs accessories. And they make custom-made outfits for talents on Valorant tournaments, and they also style from the clothes from the regular stores. So
that's so amazing. When I saw it, I was thinking,
I'm eager to listen to it.
It's a great one because it's about fashion in esports. It's already on Spotify. I'll also post that tomorrow on LinkedIn. It's a great episode. The girls have energy like no one other. So really short but very good episode.
I would love to listen it. And the thing is, with your podcast, it helped me to know so much girls in the industry. So we hope to bring you more here, but I have to bring the original, that is you. Before I start bringing people and asking if they want to join us, I have to bring you first.
Don't buy any invitations. This is the true Dominika Szot.
Yes, it's me. I attest. Yes.
So thank you so much for being with us. We have to watch The Last of Us, guys. So
exactly.
No spoilers. Remember, no spoilers here.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It was a pleasure, and kudos for doing the job you're doing. And I'm glad to be part of it this time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So now, Lara, we have to say goodbye to the audience. Thank you so much for being here with us and for the raid. It has been really amazing. And please follow our guest here. She's amazing. You have the link, the Spotify, the post, everything.
You can follow us as well. You can follow Sports Be Live to stay tuned for the next program. We got corporate workers, and remember, throughout these weeks, we are interviewing the Spanish candidates for the new upcoming elections, talking about esports, to talk about the sports plan each party has. And see you soon. Have fun and play beautiful games. Bye-bye.
Bye.